Today on Commander Replay, we're back with some more Battle Bond action, as Pyr and Toothy try to stop the aggro onslaught from Aurelia the War Leader, Neheb the Eternal, and Brago King Eternal. Hey, they used Eternal twice. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a quick second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have a new Patreon supporter in Sunshine Reiki. Sunshine, you rock. If you guys want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Pyr and Toothy's Super Friends. Today's deck comes to us from Patreon supporter Archangel227, otherwise known as Lewis. Take a look at our opening hand. Ooh, it's a little awkward, but we have a lot of good cards, so I'm going to keep it against all better judgment. And the reason I'm keeping it is because with Coalition Relic and Pyr in play, that actually makes 2 mana for us a turn, which is really, really good. And we have the Simic Growth Chamber, which actually makes us 2 mana, so essentially we have 3 mana in hand, even if it's a little bit slow. Oh hey, there's some aggressive opponents. Ooh, and a Soul Ring for the Aurelia opponent. Eek. This game might be over fast. We'll see what happens. Scroll Rack coming down for the Aurelia. Nice. So we draw a land off the top. That's good news. Play a land right here and pass the turn. Ooh. Brago starts off with a turn 1 Mana Crypt and Lightning Greaves. This game is... wow. This is going to be a fast game. Does Neheb also have the Mana Rocks? Nope. They tap out and pass. Aurelia plays a tap land and passes. Probably sitting on the Scroll Rack ability, I would imagine. So Brago coming into play, and the blinking will start soon. Aurelia's going to Scroll Rack. So Boots going on to the Brago. Brago going to swing into the Aurelia. So brings it back to our turn. We draw another land. All right, so drawing some lands. Lands are good. Fortunately, our hand is a bit slow, so I think we just play the Forest right here. Don't really want to discard the hand size just yet on the Simic Growth Chamber. Once we play the Coalition Relic, we can play around that in a way where we won't need to do that. Mana Vault for the Neheb. Everyone's got their Mana Rocks going this game. It's not great. Tajic Legion's Edge coming into play for the Aurelia. Leave 1 floating. Probably use it on the Scroll Rack. Yep, and they do. Venser the Sojourner coming into play. Opponent's going to exile a land they control. Return to the battlefield at the next end step. We draw a Kodama's Reach. That's actually very helpful. I think I'm going to go with Kodama's Reach over anything else right here. So play the Rogue's Passage, play the Kodama's Reach. We need to get some ramp going so we can get to this Cyclonic Rift. Get 1 of each, and we'll pass the turn like that. Here comes a Gutter Snipe off of the Neheb. Interestingly, using the Mana Vault to do it, and going to play some Boots. Pretty sure I would have played that turn differently. Put the Boots on the Gutter Snipe, sure. Open the Armory for the Aurelia opponent. Let's see what they're going to find. Sword of the Animist, really good card in that deck. And they're going to Scroll Rack. Ooh, Authority of the Console's coming down. That's a good one. And Sword of the Animist. Mana Crypt flip for the Brago opponent. Knight of the White Orchid coming down for the Brago. And they'll get a land trigger. Authority of the Consoles will trigger. No attacks from Brago. Venser all the way up to 7. Exiles another land. That's getting scary. There's a Scavenging Ooze. That'll probably be helpful at some point. Right here, I think we need to get our commander down. So what I'm actually going to do right here is I'm going to go for Coalition Relic and then Pyr. And next turn we'll be set up and actually have some mana and be able to do things, which will be good. So play Pyr. Authority of the Consoles will trigger. Our opponent will gain some life and our commander comes in tapped. Whisper Silk Cloak coming down for the Neheb opponent. Opponent's going to equip the Sword of the Animist onto the Tajic. Tajic going to swing into us. Not great. Should probably be swinging into that Planeswalker. So Sword of the Animist triggers. Opponent gets a land. No blocks from us. Opponent's going to Scroll Rack. And here comes Heliod, God of the Sun. Opponent actually set up in a pretty good position to get Heliod into creature mode. And if they do that with Aurelia, they'll be able to pump out some damage with the Indestructible God. Swiftfoot Boots for the Brago opponent. Venser's going to exile the Mana Crypt. Boots on the Knight of the White Orchid. It's going to bring it back to our turn. Choices right here. We could sit on the Mystic Confluence, which may not be a terrible idea. We're still a turn away from the Cyclonic Rift. Well, I guess we play the Breeding Pool untapped, and we sit on Cyclonic Rift because we really don't want that Venser to ultimate. So we will pass the turn like this and look to counter or Cyclonic Rift anything that needs to be countered or Cyclonic Rift. I mean, there's so much stuff on board already, and it's only turn 5. Opponents all off to crazy mana rock starts, and we've been doing our best to try to catch up, but still feel very behind. So no action from the Neheb. Here comes Aurelia, and with that Sword of the Animist, that is going to do a lot for them. I mean, maybe we go Cyclonic Rift right now? Yeah, I don't think I want Aurelia to attack with the Sword of the Animist down. That just gets you so far ahead. So time to overload this Rift. Ooh, an opponent's gonna Swan Song it. Well, that's not good. Well, we tried. We do get a bird. It comes into play tapped. Well, the good news is Aurelia and Tajik swinging into the Venser. Opponent will have to block or take some other action if they want to keep Venser on ultimate loyalty. Ooh, Mentor is going to trigger on Aurelia and the Sword of the Animist. Opponent's going to play Integrity on the Aurelia. Interesting. Not entirely sure why they would do that, especially before blockers. So Venser goes down. Opponent going to send the Tajik at us and the Aurelia back to the Brago opponent. Sword of the Animist will trigger again. No blocks from us. And Neheb scoops the game. Ooh, that's an Hour of Revelation for the Brago. Nice. So that gets rid of a lot of the crap on board. We draw a Hangerback Walker. Sure. Right here, we have 6 mana. I'm thinking I'm going to go for Toothy right here. And we can leave up the Logic Knot if we need to. Opponent going to retry their Aurelia, and I'm thinking not. So Aurelia back to the command zone, and it's going to be a whopping 10 mana for them to recast Aurelia. Although they lay down a Boros Garrison, so that will make up some of the distance on that. Will still take them some time, though, and time is good. The Brago opponents only got 1 blue mana, which is good news, so they're going to be locked out of blue pretty good. Tap land for our opponents, so they won't even be able to recast their commander this turn. Things are looking pretty good for us right now. Depends on what this Brago does right here. Opponent passes without doing anything. Sounds good to me. We draw into a Spike Weaver. Sure. Did I forget to play the Simic Growth Chamber last turn? I think I did. It's not great. That is not great. I think it's time for the doubling season. Play the Simic Growth Chamber, return a land, and pass the turn. We can get down to the beats. We'll swing into Aurelia right here. Here comes Akroma Angel of Wrath. Sure. Opponent's going to reality shift on the Akroma. Sounds good to me. So they get a 2/2 manifest creature with Vigilance. The Vigilance coming from the Heliod. Puts Brago down to 1 card, which is also good. So opponent's going to cast a Dig Through Time. Then they lay down a Soul Ring and follow that up with a Grasp of Fate. Our doubling season is gone, which is a little bit annoying. Though we can get it back if we find a way to remove that enchantment. So to bring it back to our turn, we'll draw a card. Toothy will get a counter on it. We draw into a land. So right here, I'm going to cast Pier. Gonna play a land. And then we'll play the Scavenging Ooze. We can exile the Tajik to get some counters on Scavenger Ooze. We could have attacked. Probably should have attacked right there. Whoops. Aurelia coming back to play. The Grasp of Fate also gets the Heliod God of the Sun, by the way. Aurelia, first attack into the Brago opponent. Sure. By the way, I think this is the very first Simic deck that I've ever played on the channel. Almost 2 years and more than 200 videos, and that's how long it's taken me to play a Simic deck. And second combat into the Brago opponent. Sure. So Brago up to 12 commander, down to 26 life. And not a lot of cards in hand. Drops a land. They're going to need something. Brago coming back to play. Sure. And going to play a Trinket Mage. So end step, we're going to exile the Tajik Legion's Edge. That'll put 2 counters on the Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze, now a 4/4. Bring it back to our turn. We will draw, and Toothy will get 2 counters on it. Play land. Really want this Spike Feeder in play. It's going to do a lot of good things for us. And then I'm going to leave mana up for the Mystic Confluence. So Spike Feeder does have a Fog mode on it, which I think will be really, really helpful against Aurelia. And that'll hopefully just dissuade Aurelia from attacking us. So I think in the meantime, we just try to kill the Brago opponent so we can get our doubling season back. Brago down to 17. Pass the turn. Opponent's going to Earthquake X6, leaving up some mana to thwart the Mystic Confluence. So I think we definitely have to Mystic Confluence right here. Do we care about returning any of these creatures? I honestly don't for the most part, so I think we're going to draw a card and counter the Earthquake twice. So Earthquake gets countered. Even better, opponent sinks 3 mana into trying to prevent it from getting countered. Toothy's going to get some more counters on it. We draw a card. We draw into a land. Toothy now a 7/7, so starting to look pretty threatening. Opponent gonna send Aurelia into us, sure. And gonna do the same thing again. Yep. There's an Altar of the Brood for Brago. We're gonna play a land and mill everyone. We lose a Genesis Wave. That would have been pretty good to have. Swiftfoot Boots. Brago gonna swing into us, sure. So we've got the table against us now. No blocks. We're down to 23. We're gonna have to start being careful. Brago's gonna bounce a bunch of things. Ew, they may go after our Toothy. Altar of the Brood's gonna trigger a bunch of times. Grasp of Fate leaves play and re-enters. So that's gonna be annoying. Goes after Doubling Season again and Heliod again. Well, just trying to get the mill, I guess. So I'm fine with that. Losing Toothy would be a real problem for us. So we get milled a bunch. We lose a Chasm Skulker. Jace, it's a Planeswalker, would have been super helpful. Contagion Clasp. Mana Vault coming down for our opponent. And Altar of the Brood will trigger again. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Beast Within. Ooh, Beast Within, you say. Toothy's counter is on the stack. I'm going to Beast Within the Grasp of Fate. There's an Odric in the graveyard that we can exile. Another creature as well. Altar of the Brood will trigger again. Toothy now an 11/11. Play a land. We need to be careful that we don't, like, die to combat damage. A lot of flying going around. Oh, yeah, we have the Spike Weaver. Okay, that makes more sense. So we just got to use the Spike Weaver. Make Toothy unblockable. If we swing into the Brago, I think Aurelia will probably take them down. Could move a... it's 2 counters. It's 2 mana to move a counter over. So we won't be able to do that. We'll have to just sit on the Spike Weaver for the fog effect. So Brago down to 6, 16 commander damage, and we'll pass a turn like that. And if Toothy leaves play for any reason, we're going to draw a whole lot of cards, which is a good place to be. Really going to try to keep swinging into us, and this is going to be a good time to use the Spike Weaver. So fog the damage. So damage is prevented. So Brago is finally timed out. Get this game underway after waiting for quite a while. We'll use the Scavenging Ooze. We'll use the Scavenging Ooze to exile the Sky Knight Legionnaire. That pumps it up to an 8/8. That's pretty good. Gonna bring it back to our turn. Toothy will trigger from the card draw. It's now a 15/15. I think we just need to play a land, use the Spike Weaver. It's a 19/19. Do that one more time. Make it unblockable. Go to combat. And swing in. Hopefully they don't have a Swords or a Path or anything like that. Opponent says GG. Down they go. 25 commander damage, so finally getting there. A game that was so much longer than it had to be. There's actually some pretty sweet stuff you can do with this deck. We didn't see many of our Planeswalkers this game. One of them got milled. But I think this deck needs a lot more ramp. Yeah, there's way too many 5-drops in this deck. It's really clunky. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 pieces of ramp, but they're all kind of slow. I think I want to see 1 or 2 more pieces of mana ramp in the 2-mana section, especially for a deck that's full of 5-drops. After playing the deck a couple times, it's really clunky, so you need to get into the late game to really kind of have success. And the other thing, too, is I think this deck needs some more hard removal. There's a lot of bounce in things like Evacuation and Cyclonic Rift, but I think something like a Nevinrol's Disc or Ugin's in here, which is solid. But I think this deck needs just a little bit more hard removal because you're playing a deck full of 5-drops. You really need to slow the game down. And like we saw in that game, opponents got off to fast starts. Lucky for us, they all ran out of gas after a while, especially after the Hour of Revelation. But yeah, I think a bit more early ramp and a bit more hard removal in this deck is where this deck wants to be. But the deck is powerful. It can do some cool stuff. Even just getting additional counters from Pier on anything, Planeswalkers or creatures, is really, really good. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.